All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us on this Halloween Thursday. So my name's Hannah. I'm the program manager at Access to Success. And today we're excited to be hosting a reverse pitch. So for any of our entrepreneurs in the room, this is an opportunity for you to actually sit back and relax and hear pitches from some of the partners and organizations that provide programming, funding, resources for you as entrepreneurs. So we're excited to have 6 of those organizations with us here today. And so just want to give a shout out again to the entrepreneurs in the room because these programs, ATS Labs included, would not exist without you. So we're going to start off with a land acknowledgement. Toronto is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. Let's continue to recognize and deeply appreciate the historic connection of Indigenous peoples to this place as we move forward in the spirit of reconciliation. And with that, we also want to say thank you to KITE UHN for offering this lovely space for us today. And a couple of housekeeping items for today. We are recording this event today, so hopefully you're all right with that. Just tap one of our team members on the shoulder if you're not all right with that. We are offering captioning today as well, and then just food and fun. So there's some food at the back of the room from Tim Hortons if you're feeling like pecking on something. And then the fun aspect, we did want everyone to dress up for Halloween. We have a couple costumes in the audience, which is great. So we'll see if we can get a little costume contest going on at the end. All right, with that, I'm going to pass to Vert.
Thank you, Hannah. Hi, everybody. I'm Pepo. I appreciate all of you being here. It's a great pleasure. It's a good bunch of people. It's a good bunch of conversations that I hope that will happen today. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about ATS Labs because hopefully everybody already knows what ATS Labs is if you're here. But as you might know, ATS Labs is Canada's leading accelerator for accessibility startups. We provide unique programming, funding, resources, and a network that are all designed to help scale startups, creating products for people with disabilities. The best part of what we do is that we get to work with startups doing all kinds of amazing, amazing work. We have startups that are creating what might be described as the Uber for personal support workers. We have accessible gaming startups out of Australia. We have startups creating assistive devices that help people with upper limb mobility limitations access digital devices. And as you can see in the pie chart in the corner, if you're so inclined, we have a wide variety of startups that have gone through the program over the 5 cohorts that we have run so far. So we've seen hearing tech, mobility tech, vision tech, neurotech, digital accessibility, disability agnostic devices, services and programs, all of them working to benefit people with disabilities. We are on a mission to enable everyone. Over the 5 cohorts that we've run, we've had the great pleasure of working with 60 companies so far. We've provided hundreds of hours of programming. Through the hundreds of mentors and speakers that we have, and about a dozen countries around the world who graciously share the time and expertise with us. And most importantly, these startups, not us, these startups, these entrepreneurs have gone on to benefit over 950,000 people with disabilities so far. And we can't do this on our own. We do this with the help of the people who are in this room. We do this with a lot of organizations committed to helping this ecosystem. We do this through partners like KITE, who is graciously hosting us here today, with partners like CIBC, HP, Microsoft, CBC Radio Canada, and so many others who are there on this screen. What we wanted to do today was an acknowledgement that this thing that we are all working on can't happen on our own. It can't happen in silos. There are so many amazing organizations who are working to benefit people with disabilities, who are working to benefit entrepreneurs trying to create life-changing technology. And none of us can do this on our own. And the fact that you're here is a testament to that acknowledgement of that fact that we can't do this on our own. So thank you for being here today in our mission to make Canada a world leader in accessibility and disability innovation. Thank you.
Thanks, Varun. I forgot to say I'm rock. So our team members are rock, paper, scissors. We actually played rock, paper, scissors to determine who wore what. I think I got the shortest end of the stick, but we'll go with it. So we're going to kick off with our presentations from the speakers today. So we have Sydney Taylor from AgeWell, who's going to start us off, and then Tyler from CABI, Anthony from KITE, Garth from OBI, Ian from Mars, and then Andrew from Praxis isn't able to join in person today. He is based in Vancouver, but we have a bit of a recorded presentation. So again, you're going to be able to hear from our speakers about the programs, funding, other resources that they provide to entrepreneurs. And in our networking session later, you'll have the chance to talk to them one-on-one about it, ask any questions, and we'll take it from there. So Sydney, I'll call you up. Oh, and forgot to mention, so about 10 minutes per presenter. So that will be both the presentation and any Q&A that the audience has at the time.
Right. Perfect. I remember how to use someone else's computer. So hi, everyone. My name is Sydney Taylor. I work at AgeWell as a project manager with a specialization or a special focus on implementation. And so I am going to talk today about a program called Envisage, and that is really about connecting needs to innovations. So this is a joint initiative between MedTech Plus and AgeWell, and it is supported by the Strategic Innovation Fund Stream 5. So I feel like it's safe to say that most people know the population around the world is aging. And so Canada specifically is anticipated to be super aged by 2031. So this is an amazing achievement, but it also poses a lot of big challenges. And in 2019, AgeWell found that 78% of older Canadians are confident using current technology, and that 3 in 4 believe that technology can help them in numerous ways. So with that in mind, connecting that with Envisage, Envisage is a pan-Canadian initiative whose mission is to catalyze Canada's age tech ecosystem by supporting innovators to grow and scale their enterprises and deliver technology solutions that help older Canadians maintain a better quality of life for longer. And we have what we call 8 reverse pitches. So these are AgeWell's 8 challenge areas. If you want to read more about them, they are on the AgeWell's website. And they're also on the Envisage website. So the first is autonomy and independence, cognitive health and dementia, healthy lifestyles and wellness, staying connected, supported homes and communities, healthcare and health service delivery, mobility and transportation, and financial wellness and employment. So we're really looking for projects within Envisage that fall within these 8 categories. Now, I'm excited to say that our second call for innovations is officially opened as of last week, and it does have a letter of intent deadline of December 2nd for this round. So within the program, we have kind of 2 different streams that projects can take. So the first is where you have these innovative Canadian SMEs or smaller medium enterprises that have a technology that falls within the technology readiness level between 7 and 9. Then they are matched or paired up with community labs, and these are organizations within Canada that offer senior services. So we're keeping that definition really broad for a reason. We want to see how we can help older adults and their caregivers in the communities. Envisage has organized their beachheads. So these are predetermined and pre-selected organizations, and they are looking at the evaluation of the project themselves. So not validating the technology so much as looking at how it gets integrated into these community labs. Those are collaborative projects that are between 12 to 18 months. And then we also have a different way to come into the program with innovation hubs. So this is where small and medium enterprises get matched up with innovation hubs. And that TRL has a little bit more flexibility, so it can be lower than 7. And the whole purpose of Envisage is to support innovative technologies, addressing sector needs, to evaluate and support their scale up for success. So in terms of talking to us about building a project, we're really easy to connect with. So as you can see, you can reach out to us by email at project@envisage.ca, our website as well. And then we just added at the beginning of October expression of interest form. And so if you don't have any partnerships yet, but you're interested in learning more, you want to have help with matchmaking to get your partners for the projects, you can go to our Get Involved tab and fill out your expression of interest. If you do happen to have a partnership, so you have an SME as well as the community lab already working together or already interested in working together, then you're considered a dyad and you get to move. Oh, I'm a hand talker, I'm sorry. You get to move right into the letter of intent stage. But we are really excited to have you reach out to us in one of these 3 ways. And that is it for me today. So thank you very much. All right, are there any questions for me about the program? No pressure, I'll be around the whole time. So if you do, you're more than welcome to reach out. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sydney. Okay, we'll go to Tyler. Abby.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ty Redublo. I'm an innovation analyst at the Center for Aging and Brain Health Innovation, or CABI. For today, I'm Patrick Bateman, American Psycho. If you don't know that reference, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about what we do at CABI and as well as some upcoming sort of opportunities. And yeah, I'll just kind of jump right into it. So I'm probably at least the second, probably not the last group here today that focuses on aging. And so there might be a little bit of overlap, but my understanding is that everyone here is from the health tech, innovation, health overall, domain. And so hopefully I don't have to convince you much on this question. Why should we care about aging? But if there are any naysayers or doubters in the room, we'll proceed. So across the globe, by 2030, 1 in 6 people are projected to be aged 60 years or over. And so there's just a little heat map showing that particular trend from 1960 all the way up to 2060. We can see that our global population is, in fact, aging. And so that really creates a big market opportunity for us. This term that's been coined, the global age tech market, is estimated to reach $2 trillion USD by just 2025. We know that, of course, because there are more older adults, they also hold more significant buying and economic power. And just as a small sort of anecdote, we also know even smartphone ownership has risen from 10% in 2011 to 60% in older adults in 2021. And that graph on the left there also shows that trend, showing the 50+ population spending on technology, which is expected to grow for many, many years to come. And so that's where CABI comes in. We're a solution accelerator focused on driving innovation in the aging and brain health sector. We do have a pan-Canadian focus, and we're based out of Baycrest Hospital up in North York. Our mission is to accelerate the development, validation, commercialization, adoption, all the fun things of innovative solutions to support aging and brain health. And our vision overall is a world in which people can thrive in the setting of their choice, maintaining all aspects of their health and independence for as long as possible. I won't go over this entire slide, but this is just a quick snapshot of the CABI's impacts to date. At the top there, you could see the funding that we've levered from government contributions and kind of directed towards healthcare innovations. In the middle, you could see a bit of the HQP and the stakeholders that we work with, ranging from clinicians, graduates, students, scientists, startups, older adults themselves, caregivers, et cetera, as well as some figures on the number of solutions that we've supported to date. And so you might be asking, Ty, well, you keep saying this aging and brain health thing. What does that actually mean? And what does that actually look like? Which is a good question. And over here are our 5 core innovation themes that we focus on at CABI. And so every one of the innovators that we support will align with at least one or perhaps multiple of these themes, ranging from aging at home, caregiver support, care coordination and navigation, cognitive and mental health, as well as financial health and wellness. And again, a quick little snapshot of CABI's overall programs and services from left to right, going from Ignite, MC Squared, and the DNA program. Those are our 3 core funding programs. And from left to right, it goes earliest stage innovation all the way to market ready, sort of, ready to adopt, companies and solutions. And in addition to the funding that we provide, we also, at that bottom there, provide a suite of acceleration services ranging from coaching and mentorship, end user engagement to older adults and caregivers themselves, an innovation network, a learning series, as well as many other things. And I'll end off here just doing a quick plug for one of our open programs right now, Ignite. So Ignite, if you saw on the previous slide, is our early stage funding program to support innovations, whether they're researchers and clinicians or startups and companies who are trying to enhance the lives of older persons, people living with dementia, and their care partners. It's a funding program of non-dilutive funding from 50 to 150K, access to a learning series and other acceleration services. And you can apply up until Monday, December 2nd, and you can kind of scan the QR code there to go to the program websites or come talk to me afterwards. Happy to talk more about this and any of other CABI initiatives that we're currently or in the future planning. And thanks again to the ATS team for having us today. Really appreciate it and really excited for us to learn more about the work that everyone here is doing. So there's my contact information, and I'll end it there. Thanks. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah. Sorry?
Maybe a family member taking these out?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's so many. I mean, like, again, even this term that we use, solution, solutions can look really different. At CABI, we kind of define it as like program, product, or service. So we have things that are very high tech, like a virtual reality device to support caregivers of people living with dementia. We have like social robots that are deployed in long-term care, but we also have sort of low-tech solutions like, music therapy, intergenerational jamboree, which has been deployed in long-term care homes where, music therapists and older adults will get together with, community members and their babies to do like a music therapy jamboree all together. So to me, I don't know if I have a favorite, honestly. These are just the ones that come to mind, but I think really what we focus on at CABI is just, trying to drive impact and whatever that means for, the end users themselves, the healthcare system, and yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But for some of our earlier stage companies, validation is a really key piece for them. So curious, with the Ignite program, are there opportunities for our companies to do testing and validation directly with the populations that they're developing with and for?
Totally, yeah. So for anyone who didn't catch that, the question was for early stage companies, the big challenge is like validation and trying to actually test out whether or not these solutions are, if they work, if they're effective and feasible, and is there an opportunity for that in Ignite? And the answer is absolutely yes. I think the premise of this program, the real sort of objective is to try to bridge that gap in funding that a lot of early stage innovators face here in Canada. And so, it's both a development and validation program. And so if you are so inclined to apply, like we'll work with you to kind of co-develop these milestones, which can very much be associated with validation, trial sites, and trying to get you into organizations where you can, establish the efficacy of the tool that you're developing. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you were to just kind of scan that QR code, all of the sort of eligibility requirements are stated online. But yeah, just off the top of my head, so we do have 2 different streams, one for researchers and point of care staff. And so for that, like relevant academic qualifications, whether an MD, PhD, or et cetera. For companies, we have some expectations around, valuation caps and TRL levels as well. And so, yeah, those are sort of all outlined on the websites, probably more effectively than I can pull them up right now. But yeah, come talk to me afterwards as well, and we can definitely have a conversation. Would love to learn more about what everyone in this room is working on.
It's a Canadian HD company.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we are opening the call to international innovators as long as there is, if they're federally or provincially incorporated in Canada, and if there's an expectation, or sorry, not expectation, but if there is an expression of interest in working with the Canadian population, if they have a plan to work with older adults here in Canada, they have trial sites lined up. And so, yeah. Good. Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Funnily enough, with his acts, nobody was scared to ask questions, so that's good. All right, so we'll move forward with Anthony from KITE. Yeah, that's not Anthony, that's right. You won't be able to recognize him today, but he's coming.
Tyler, I know there's some blood on you, but try to be clean. Oh, paper. I need to make a note. There's one key comment that you had made earlier today. I hear me roar. Ask me anything. So if you have any ideas that come to your mind, please add your notes here. So I think what's really important is what the Graham said earlier, that we cannot do this alone. I think what Graham, Amber, Steve, and the whole team here has really brought us together, and we have this purpose, and we gotta do it together. Can you hear me through this thing? Yeah? Kind of? All right, I'm Anthony Palma, and I don't wear this all the time. I'm the director for partnerships and strategic initiatives here at KITE. And before we go right into it, I just want to share with you a little video. This is our leader, Dr. Milos Popovich, and hope you would like to enjoy this video.
KITE is complex rehabilitation science. Our goal, a better world for people living with the effects of disability, injury, and aging. A big part of our work is focused on prevention.
We design entire labs to learn more about unintended falls and how to stop them.
Our creativity has the potential to dramatically reduce injury and illness at home, in the hospital, and at work.
Restoration of function is a critical piece of the rehabilitation journey.
Whether it be from stroke, heart attack, traumatic brain or spinal cord injury, we're helping people rebuild their lives.
Our technologies tap the human brain to restore function, regain movement, and improve mobility.
Independent living and aging well are other big drivers of innovation at KITE. Our labs inspire invention. We observe human behavior, test new products, and solve everyday problems. KITE's big vision: an interconnected rehabilitation ecosystem delivering world-class rehab care anywhere on the planet.
So, how many of you are the startups, ventures? Beautiful. So our purpose here is all the prevention, restoration, community. Hands up, who's in prevention? Trying to prevent something, yes. Restoration, trying to restore some functions. And then those who want to keep folks in the community at home. All gentle arms going up. That's great. You guys are very important because the folks that we serve at KITE are folks with illnesses, disabilities, and those who are aging. And the data point that you guys need to take home, I'm going to take this off now. It's crazy. My glasses are fogging up. And by the year 2050, Tyler, you had brought up some data points there. really important. By the year 2050, world's population will be 9.7 billion. More than 50% will be elderly and disabled. So just imagine, like, this past weekend, went to the movie theaters with my daughter, going in there, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like, how is someone who has a mobility issue going to get around? Or if you see a car and you have someone elderly, how do they get in there, into a slick sports car? It's not going to work, right? And just think about this whole room. More than 50% of us are going to be in that category. So I think us together is going to be really important. We work together now. We have to hit it hard. We need to raise that profile even more, but I think this is a great start. So again, this care delivery journey, really important for all of us are in the U, okay? And all of you have your own solutions. And you can see that we're trying to bring these solutions over to the folks that we serve. And with KITE, I think we can help with that trajectory. So you heard from the video that KITE is an interconnected rehabilitation ecosystem, and it's made up of, we have a portfolio of, like, there's excellence in the academic and clinical space. We have several initiatives, and we form very strong partnerships with Access to Success and our friends at Mars and Even Age Well, Abby, Sue, OBI, where are you, Garth? And then we have several resources as well. Plus, we have an awareness platform that we can help raise your voice. So in terms of the academic clinical excellence piece, we are part of UHN, the largest research hospital across Canada. We have about 5 hospitals, 6 research institutes. And what's really important is that we have about 2.8 million patients coming through our doors. Why is that important? Well, we can have those patients really participate in some of these studies, in some of these, if you want to validate some of your technologies, right? We will cover the whole disease spectrum. You name it, we can help. And we have the mechanics behind enabling that, those type of processes. We're also part of a greater network called TASHN, which is Toronto Academic Health Sciences Network. And that consists of all of the Toronto hospitals in the city. And then because of that connection, we have greater reach. I think in total, we have access to about 8 million patients. Tabby is one of the, our Baycrest is one of the TASHN hospitals. And with that, the excellence comes behind the academic piece. They're all affiliated with the University of Toronto. Again, one of the top universities with very strong research capacities across a broad spectrum, not only in medicine, but including engineering, architecture, the arts, and so on. Some of the initiatives and partnerships that we have, we can throw a few at you. We have Fibers initiative where we're looking at smart textiles. So imagine chemists working with our engineers to create garments and have an engineer equip it with the devices so that then they can start working with a fashion designer and design it for our friends over here, but then have it also connect to the cloud so that as you are anywhere in the world, data gets communicated back to your caregiver and family members, again, speaking to keeping you at home, right? I highlight on Visage Sydney. Thank you for that presentation. So that call had gone out. It was last week. And you saw there's SMEs partnering with a community lab, like a retirement home and a beachhead. You need the 3-headed monster. Last week, KITE is one of those beachheads now. So if you guys are interested in partnering and pursuing an initiative like that, please come and speak with us. And there are a few groups here as well I want to highlight. With Mars, Ian will be saying a few words. I won't say anything more, and we have a strong connection there on mobility involving Access to Success and a few others. And you'll see that even we have this ULI land initiative where it's a new coalition that KITE has joined. We're actually looking at accessibility in built-in spaces. So how we're touching on many different, industry verticals here. Resources, what's available for you? So our scientific expertise. We have 127 scientists across a spectrum of cardiovascular, spinal cord injury, neuro, musculoskeletal, complex care. They are here to help guide you. We have the talent, the future talent. We have about 187 trainees trying to become future scientists, but they could be talent in your companies, right? And we don't have time today to go through a tour of our facilities, but we have some facilities that are also available for you to even do some validations with your technologies. And then the vehicle of trying to bring participants, if you need a patient or you need someone to come participate, like we have the mechanics on how to set up the protocols, how to establish the budgets and the timing as well. And now going to the awareness platform, one of our biggest platforms for raising the awareness of what we do and what the whole community does is iCare. It's our International Conference on Aging, Innovation, and Rehabilitation. It's going to be held May 1st and 2nd here in Toronto at the Carlu. And I do have a QR code later. Power Play is something that would be of high interest for all of you. It's a pitch competition, and we have about 50K of total awards, and our deadline is going to be February 28th, 2025. We have an innovation gallery that is down in the basement, so it's a space where we can showcase the work that we have for scientists, but also it's an opportunity for us to take one of the Access to Success cohorts and showcase downstairs mini exhibit where you get to be in touch with the patients, the families, the staff. And because we are in the middle of the hospital corridor, we can actually bring everyone to see. And then we also do a lot of storytelling, and we have this in-house creative agency that we've created called KITE Studio, who is here to help tell your stories. So remember this slide, you're on the left, we're in the middle, folks that we want to serve on the far right. And I think we should try to just jump on board and try to work together, because I think it's the right thing to do. So just get your cameras out. I'll leave this up. Please sign up for iCare. QR code there. I'll wait for 2 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next. This is probably where you want to get some cash. This is the Power Play pitch competition. More cameras are up. Deadline is end of February. Okay. End of February. Okay. And then the last one, just want to let you guys know that we have this new initiative called KITE Creates, an opportunity for us to bring creatives into the health space, something that hasn't really been done. And our team is going to be hosting this cohort called Creators Circle, opportunity for you guys to really get deeper into this creative space, talk to a lot of the professionals in that space. And it's a program that we're offering that's going to complement exactly what you guys are getting from the Access to Success team. Okay. And for any of these, if you have any questions, we are here. Hands up for our KITE team that's here. We have Eric, there's Helen, Gita for the KITE Creates. We have Sophia in the blue back there for iCare, Power Play, and yeah, love to chat. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, put it back. Now Varun is really telling me what to do. Does it light up? Hannah, you have to ask all those questions. Yeah, it's supposed to light up.
Oh my God.
Oh, is it lighting up?
So,
Oh, wait, that's LBI. Hold on. You want something else? You need a background? Here, Power Play? You go. Any questions, Garth, while I'm closing? It's all good. Well, we're gonna be around for the next hour or so. So, let's connect. Chit chat.
Yeah, so also, for the entrepreneurs here, all the time, you've been out there pitching and contributions and you're getting grilled on the stage. This is your chance to return the favor, so feel free to ask questions.
Nice. But remember, look what I just showed you. Sure.
How established do the startups do you need to be? Is it just a prototype or do you have to have really like have this?
So for the pitch competition in general, there are many opportunities because if you have a concept, you might not have the know-how to see whether the utility meets the need. So because we are always our scientists, when they're running their experiments, they have to bring the people with experience and the patients all the time. So just imagine they have their idea, they're applying, they're bringing, they're learning, co-designing, co-developing, right? So we have that expertise to help. Like, so if you have any questions in the earlier stages, yeah, we can find a way to guide you, right? Hi.
What can we expect to see at the ICARE conference?
ICARE conference. So we have extended that to 2 days, May 1st and 2nd. We'll have about 3 keynotes, 2 panel discussions. We'll be inviting international scientists to pitch for the best paper of the year. We have we'll be hosting about 100 plus poster submissions. I think we're ramping it up to 150 or 180. But the goal there is the future scientists get to pitch. Top 20 get chosen to pitch on stage. And of the top 20, about 10 of them would be selected to publish their paper in a Springer Nature journal, which we've made arrangements with. And then also we have our pitch competition. So we have about, we're looking at for the best concepts and the best startups. This time round, we'll have top 10 startups on stage. Last year was only top 5, so we're increasing that piece. There will also be an opportunity for on the awareness side. Those startups will have an opportunity to not only apply for getting on stage, but we'll have a first come first serve opportunity to also have a 3-foot wide booth. So that way you get to mingle with the audience. The audience includes scientists across all universities and colleges, and trainees, students. We'll also have members from our community. It could be retirement homes, indigenous, homeless, and as well as investors and fellow startups. And more importantly, it's the people with experience. So just imagine, like, these folks get to see the type of work that is happening for them. Right. And then you have the opportunity to ask them, like, am I serving you the way I think you'd be serving you? So it's more an awareness from the whole spectrum. And I think it'll be very valuable to be there. Thank you. We can have a coffee if you want. Okay, sure.
Here today, but I'm just wondering what supports are available when it comes to production and actually getting these innovation ideas to market. What networks may be connected to support that aspect?
Yeah, network, great idea. So we really leverage on our whole network, our community, relationships like with assets to success. That's one. We're a community partner with Ian and the Myers team for this mobility initiative. We're now part of this Envisage piece, which allows us to have inroads into the world of age tech, right? But because, like, many of our scientists are touching different market industry verticals, like fashion, like automotive, like gaming, like you name it,
then our inroads into there opens up even more opportunities for those industries to realize that they are a vehicle to the delivery of care. So it's a very great question, and as we really find a way to step back, those opportunities as you start to work with us become your platform. Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for your attention, and looking forward to some chats. Great.
Great, thanks, Anthony. I think one key aspect there is just calling to the fact that this space is very integrated. So a lot of our partners actually work with one another to provide these resources to companies. All right, so we'll go to Garth from OBF.
Microphone slides. Okay. Spacebar.
Is that okay?
Sure. Hi, everybody. How you doing? I have to admit, I'm not in costume today. I'm not dressed up as anything. When the ATS folks told me last night that I'd got to come in a costume, I thought they were pranking me. So I neglected to wear a costume. I apologize. I love the energy. My bad. All right. So Ontario Brain Institute. I'm just going to go through really quickly, and then I have to leave. But if you guys need to talk to me afterwards, just ask Hannah. Right. So, what everybody says, this is what we're here for. We're advancing brain health solutions. Can you guys hear me? Because I tend to move. Is it okay? So we really want to be a platform for translation. That's the OBI goal. We didn't need another research institute. We needed an institute that was driven on translating the research into actual real life impact. So that's what we strive for. It's a very tough goal, but we have a number of programs that we feel are addressing that. So essentially, let's see here. Essentially, the OBI should treat OBI like a sandbox where ideas come in and then we validate. We try to get target customers involved, and then we see how we can implement it in the healthcare system. So on the top left, my right, your left, is the Ontario Brain Institute. We fund neuroscience teams. So we feel that neuroscience is where cancer is about 15, 20 years ago, where the labels of the diseases are actually getting in the way of actually finding interventions for diseases. We feel that a lot of diseases, especially in brain, are spectrum of diseases. So you have to do a real deep phenotyping exercise of trying to figure out which flavor of Alzheimer's do you have, which flavor of dementia do you have, which flavor of depression do you have. And that's been lacking in the neuroscience space for quite some time. One of the unique features we have is straight down from the research groups is, as a consequence of our funding, we get their data. So one of the things we found time and time again is research institutes tend to hang on to data a lot. And so what we proposed was, you can disclose, you can publish, you can do everything you want, but then you have to bring it all together in one spot. And that is now the opportunity for us to share data around the world. And so that was an interesting process. On the top right is the group that I lead. I'm so sorry. My name is Garth Smith. I'm the VP of Business Development Partnerships for the Ontario Brain Institute. So the group, the top right is the neurotech companies that we've helped. And we have two programs that we run. One's called NERV and one's called NERD. This is what happens when you have neuroscientists doing branding and marketing. And then at the bottom, you have Cortex. And I'm just going to describe those programs. And so you have the companies, but the biggest relationship we have, and Anthony really touched on this, was if you're trying to drive real world impact and you're not talking to patients, it's very hard to do that. So you have to engage patient groups. You have to engage the people that you're trying to help, right? So when we started engaging patient groups from the very beginning, and the stuff that researchers were researching and the stuff that patients were Googling every night, there was an ocean between them. And so what we tried to do was close that gap where patient groups are actually dictating the research aims and programs for the groups. So this is all of the research institutes that we've been able to work with. We work with over 42 clinical entities. And then we have data participation agreements with all of them through our research programs into brain code. Oh, I keep forgetting it's down here. The active ones are CPNet, which is cerebral palsy group based out of Holland Bloorview, Cambine, which is actually a national initiative, PON, which is the Neurodevelopment Network led out of Sick Kids in Holland Bloorview. And we have two new ones, CALM, which is youth mental health, and Transcendent, which is in concussion based out of Ottawa. And we have 3 legacy programs in neurodegeneration, epilepsy, and again, one other one in concussion. So Brain Code is it's a large neuroinformatics platform. So imagine if you were able to control the standards of the data into an informatics platform where you can store the data, the raw data, de-identify it, and be able to share this data around the world. And so that was one of our biggest aims, is to be able to collect data, share it out, because what we found out was that the data producers are not necessarily best data analytics. So you imagine a lab that produces data, they pretty much have their way of collecting data. Imagine another lab interrogating that data in a completely different way. And we've had data sharing agreements, data releases with over 250 institutes around the world. Public access, 128, that's kind of an old number. And this is research institutes and companies. The only requirements for companies is that you need to have an IRB approved study. And pretty much you can get whatever data you want. Center of Analytics. We finally got some money to now look at data that's in Brain Code, but also in databases around the world. So I'm just going to say something. You guys might get upset with me, but that's fine. It's especially for the brain, measuring one data modality and doing analytics on it and making clinically relevant inferences is very difficult. We feel that there's an opportunity for multimodal data analysis where you collect multiple modalities and see how they're all related to them. That's where we think the real interesting stuff is. We couldn't really find a lot of multimodal data analytics people, so we basically went back to the government and asked them for some more money to build an institute. So we're doing this in conjunction with Vector, with the guys in Edmonton, and the folks in Montreal under the CNS program, which you can look up. So in terms of programs that are relevant to startups, I'm going to talk about the commercialization programs, NERV, NERD. I'm not going to talk about internships, but also Cortex. So NERV is our annual pitch competition. It's across Canada. We just had our NERV cohort announcement last night, and I think one of them is here, Dion. Again, this was we initially just had Ontario companies, and then we figured out that in order for us to have a relevant pipeline, we had to open it up across Canada. And so our award is $100,000. We offer mentoring and training. We've done this for the last 12 years. And we've helped that number now is over 80, and they've done quite well in terms of their ability to scale. What we found, so I'd say that right now is about as good a time as it's ever been to be a startup in Canada. I'd say 10 years ago, you probably had 1, maybe 2 sources of income, of funding. Now you have all these groups coming up and talking about 50, 100, 200. And it's much better now than it's ever been. Could it be better? Absolutely. Check sizes have to go up. The amount of work you have to do for $50,000 and $100,000 has to go down. So that's the next step. All of these partnering events, all these funding programs have to work together. We just don't have the check sizes for us to think that OBI is only going to fund a company. Has to be CABI, has to be OBI, has to be AgeWell. Everybody has to work together. But we have to start increasing the check sizes for it to be relevant. NERD. So what we found out was that, and again, it's just what we found out. Professors start companies all the time. Traditionally, professors have very busy day jobs being professors. Usually they have some poor postdoc in their lab that's actually doing all of the company stuff. That's the person that we fund for NERF. That's the person we have a hard conversation with them and say, do you want to be a professor and be in academia, or do you want to run a company? Generally, they say, I want to run a company. And then we put them in any one of the 1,000 incubators that we've built up across this country and let them have at her. The professor can be this chief scientific officer. The professor can be chief poobah for all we care. But the person that's doing the day-to-day legwork leaves academia, does all the office actions, does all the applications for all the programming that you hear about. And we find that there is a higher acceleration of the growth of the company in this program. So we also take them around the world to partnering events, to investors. And what we found was that Canadian companies are well liked by investors, but they're too early for a lot of investors. So we decided to ask the companies, to ask these investors, what exactly do you need from us, from the companies, for them to be really interested in it? And when they came back and we did the analysis, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. It wasn't $1 million. It wasn't millions of dollars. It was just key things that investors all have. They all have a threshold for product development that they need for you to be really relevant to them. So we decided to fund that. So we decided to start this program called NERD. And I can't even remember what NERD stands for. So all you have to think about is a company has to have an existing relationship with a follow-on investor. We talk to the follow-on investor, and then we say, what is it that you want to see in terms of product development? And then we do the investment in the company to pay for that product development. The economic development opportunity is not with you, the small company. There's 3 of you in that company. It's with the CROs that do this work on a day-to-day basis. Could be KITE, could be UHN. It could be Baycrest doing the patient study. It doesn't matter. Once that follow-on investor, once we de-risk the investment for the follow-on investor, we found that we've invested in 43 companies. We've invested $10 million. It earned $150 million. And this is not just government stuff. This is venture-backed private investment, right? So we first started out, because we're Canadian, we started out as grants. They loved us. Everybody loved us. You're going to give me money for free to get more investment. And then we went to 10-year loans, and now we do convertible notes and direct equity. So these are the kinds of returns that our companies have been getting. This is when we were very nice and giving out grants. The big one, obviously, is Forshner. They sold 2 assets for $35 million each. I still stay awake at night thinking about the return I could have had on that investment. I gave the money away for free. That's okay. I'm fine. Winterlight, they just got bought by Cambridge Cognition. Epineuron is an unbelievable company. So when we started taking on convertible notes and equity, that's when we continue to see this return. We still continue to see that you can make investments in companies as a not-for-profit and make money, recycle that money, and invest in more companies. Okay? So Cortex, this is a relatively new program that we have, and we test drove this a couple of times. And what we found was that a lot of companies build technology, they build these things and it works really great in a lab in a very nice clinical setting. And then as soon as it gets into the real world, it acts completely different. So what we decided to do was bring technologies to patients at home. This is what the pandemic showed us. We had to start bringing healthcare into people's homes. So we utilized our relationship with patient advocacy groups for recruiting. And we started bringing technologies to the patient advocacy groups and saying, listen, hey, here's all this technology. Would you guys be interested in helping co-design, co-develop these devices? 98% of them said yes. One person said no. It's a long story. I'll tell you about it later. But that started our journey around, this is not just user feedback, right? This is not just, gee, I think it looks really cute. All of a sudden now you have the ability to engage a patient population, get clinically relevant data, get regulatory-based markers in a fashion where you can't just, in a clinic when you recruit 20 patients a year, In one study, in 4 months, we were able to recruit 950 people and scan their eye for cognitive assessment through their optometrists, right? That's the goal. So we're now, this program is also in the Envisage program. We're a beachhead for a national dementia registry. So again, bring it out to rural areas. You know, how do you test out all these different online digital cognitive assessments? Which one actually works? You have to have a cohort where you're actually testing it in the real world. And so that's what we're embarking right now. That's a lot of fun. So just imagine OBI as a sandbox, right? We have data you can play with. We'll fund companies. You can get real world evidence. And we think the interaction between the deep clinical data that we all love and this real world data and be able to interrogate that data in a meaningful way, we think that that's the way we think we're going to drive impact. Thank you very much. Any questions? Hope streams. Remember, if you need anything, email me, go to Hannah. Next time I'll wear a costume. Yeah.
The breakdowns also include.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and so it's interesting, right? So when we look at a cohort of patients, right, we don't just do depression scales for our depression patients. We do depression scales on all of our patients. We do it in ones that have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, with Parkinson's, and that's such a rich data set because, again, there's these overlaps. Not only depression patients have depression. Like anybody that has a long-term disease can show depression. So how do you treat them when they're not the typical patients that you call depressed?
I'm a bit curious about the age range for the demographics. Is it predominantly elderly patients or are there children as well?
Yeah, so we do the full spectrum, right? Because we're the neurodevelopment program. So it's all of the youth, babies, CP is our babies into, so there's a little bit, that's why Palma was very important to us. We had the extreme ends of the age groups, but when kids have a child disease, there's these transition years between when they leave their pediatrician and go to a doctor, and that we've been kind of lacking. So we've kind of bridged it somewhat in the mental health space with the convert. Any questions? Thanks, everybody.
So we'll move on to Ian from Mars. Oh, right there.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ian McCarter from the Mars Discovery District. I lead our corporate innovation team at Mars. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about Mars itself, as well as the Mobility Unlimited Hub, which I think will be relevant to most folks here. So a little bit about Mars. Mars has nothing to do with the chocolate bar or the planet. We stand for medical and related sciences. We were founded in the year 2000, and we support over 1,200 companies across Canada. So 1,200 startups, largely focused in the medical sector, clean tech, as well as deep tech. So think of things like robotics and things like that. But for the purposes of today, we're going to be talking about the medical space. We're the largest urban innovation hub in North America. So we provide multiple types of services to startups over time. There is no time limit for the startups that are part of Mars. So it's not like a 6-month program or a 1-year program. Once you get admitted into Mars, you can stay as long or as little as you would like. We admit companies about every 2 weeks. So there's lots of applications that come into Mars for general programming. And things that are offered are things like pitch support. I also see Louise here, who leads our health sector at Mars. She would support a lot with venture capital and those connections there. We also have market intelligence reports and things like that that are available to our startups. We don't take equity in the startups. This is provided for free. We're able to do that through government funding at the federal and provincial level. We're just across the street here. We have a 1.5 million square feet of real estate just across the street, including wet lab space that's available in the building as well. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about active mobility. You heard a couple of folks earlier allude to this around this piece, but we've started a large program with the Toyota Mobility Foundation all around active mobility. And what does that mean? It's really the intersection of assistive tech, accessibility tech, as well as rehabilitation tech. And so we partnered with Toyota to really help improve the independence of individuals either at home or at work, or their ability to move around. This is a really big problem that Toyota is really looking to solve. And so we launched earlier this year the Mobility Unlimited Hub. So this is a cohort program where we went through a national call for applications earlier this year. We had over 54 applications to be part of this hub. It was a 1-year program where I'll get into some of the services that are provided as part of that. It was really focused on scaling the commercialization of different technologies under this active mobility space. We're really throwing the entire kitchen sink at the startups that are part of this program through direct advisory. I know Varun and ATS Labs are providing a lot of advisory support, as well as there's direct funding as well as part of this program. But we're really looking at figuring out how we can grow and scale the program. We're actively speaking with Toyota as well around future iterations of this cohort, looking to launch an additional one next year. Some of the different things that are provided as part of this 1-year program. PR is a big component. So it's really looking at amplifying the different messages that the startups are looking to provide. I mentioned we had just over 50 applications. We selected 7 companies to be part of this initial cohort. I'll show you the companies in a second. Many of them we help directly with our Mars PR team to help these companies around PR. There's direct funding as well for these companies. So for this initial cohort was $35,000 for each company as part of that. We have some space over at Mars that the companies avail of. Many of them are in there almost daily. And then finally, there's a sort of intensive commercialization programs that we go through with each of the startups to really help one understand the different challenges that they're facing from a commercialization perspective, and then leveraging our partner network, which I'll get into in a second, to actually solve some of those problems. We see this program expanding to a 2-year program instead of a 1-year program, because we understand that these challenges, it's difficult to solve those in a 3-month or 4-month time frame. So we're really looking at a long-term horizon to help from that perspective. You'll see a lot of these similar logos here. Anthony, Varun, and others that are really helping to scale some of these particular companies. For example, there was a question earlier around manufacturing support. And so many of the companies in our initial cohort are looking for that manufacturing support. And so we work very closely with Linamar, for example, who are actively helping those companies in understanding their manufacturing challenges. Similarly, at Sheridan College, some of the startups are working directly with Sheridan to help scale, and their advanced manufacturing program there to help scale their manufacturing. Likewise, with a big name like Toyota, they are also providing manufacturing support and know-how to these companies. We are also, this is not an exclusive thing, Anthony, to steal some of your words earlier, that this is a community approach. And if other organizations are looking to be part of this community, we are an absolutely open door. We want a call to others in the room. If there's any types of supports that you can provide to these companies, we gladly look to add that to the roster. Here is the initial cohort. Some of these are probably very familiar. I saw some of these logos on other slides. And many of these are actually ATS alumni as well. So we see ATS is a great feeder program and pipeline into this particular program. And so I saw Braze Mobility on some of the other slides as well. So these are the 7 companies initially that we're sort of throwing the kitchen sink at. And providing those types of supports on I see Morgan, who runs our cohort program here, and this particular program, she's talking with these companies weekly, if not daily, to help them with their challenges. So I'd encourage other folks, if you're interested, we are going through the finalization process of expanding this program. We'll be looking at an additional call for applications sometime in the spring of next year. And that will hopefully be a 2-year program as part of that. So a very intensive 2-year program, of which we are also hoping that there will be additional funding provided to the startups to participate in that program. So that's it for me today. If there's any questions, please let me know. We got our colleague Sophie's email as well here if you wanted to contact directly there, and the website on Mobility Unlimited Hub, mrsvd.com. Any questions? Yeah, question.
Sorry, the MUH program.
Yeah.
Is there a specific TRL that you're looking at, because you're talking about manufacturing support? So I'm assuming it's on the lower end of the TRL scale.
Yeah, so many of the companies, it's for that specific program, it's TRL 7 or higher, and many of them have manufactured, in the hundreds of their particular product. This is really talking about how do you get to thousands of scaling their manufacturing is really the focus of that. For general Mars programming outside of the MUH, that we work with companies that have even just created a first prototype. So as early as that stage, a lot of times companies graduate from post-secondary institutions and apply to be part of Mars. So that's kind of a feeder system into the general programming. But for now, the MUH is very much focused on TRL 7 or higher. In future cohorts, that may change, but that's really the focus for this one. Good question. Did I mention that the programs are all free? I did mention that, right? Yeah, great. And in some cases, there's money for you in those. So just wanted to re-mention that. So, yeah, question. Yeah, so the next one, well, there's a lot of stuff happening just about every month. So a lot of the startups in this cohort were at the MedTech conference. 2 of these companies will actually be heading over to an innovation summit in Japan as part of their market entry strategy into Japan in December. So there are activities that are happening monthly for each of these companies. But in terms of the actual program milestone, we've got a big milestone in call it March on a go no go for the next iteration. So We'll know by March if we're going to be doing this next 2-year program. We feel very confident as part of that. But yeah, we'll know from there. And maybe a selfish plug to iCare coming up to reiterate what Anthony was saying. That's coming up in May as well, which the MUH plays a role in that as well. So please check out the website. There's constantly things that are going on with each of these companies, but the next major milestones will be in early next year. There was another question or no?
Slightly off topic, but on topic, look, I'm just curious to know why there was so much emphasis in this program specifically, like why it got started, like if that part of it.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So this actually started many years ago with a partnership between Toyota Mobility Foundation and actually UHN KITE, and working with a particular startup who was working on prosthetics. As part of their foundation, they sort of realized they do a lot of these innovation challenges globally, and they realized that just giving money wasn't enough. That you can give some money and then it kind of like goes into the ether, and hopefully the startup uses that money to continue to grow. What the foundation realized was that they needed to put a lot more effort and concerted programming around these companies to really help scale the impact. And so they looked globally around different areas around the globe that had these types of supports, and I'll go back to these community members here that have these types of supports that already existed, but wanted to sort of bring a lot of those together. And so the fact that UHN KITE is here and across the street is Mars, and there's all these hospitals here, and ATS Labs is here, that is unique globally. And that's why Toyota selected Toronto to want to create this particular hub. They're looking at recreating this hub model globally in other areas, and Toronto is going to be there first. Good question. Awesome. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ian. So we have one more presentation to go. This one is actually recorded. So again, Andrew from Praxis, unable to join us today. He's actually based in Vancouver, but he kindly recorded a bit of a pitch for everyone today. So we'll go to that, and then we'll kind of wrap everything up.
It's great that I could join the event today from all the way up here in Vancouver. My name is Andrew Forshner. I'm the Associate Director for the Innovation Unit at Praxis. So who is Praxis? We're a world-leading translational research organization based out of Vancouver with a global focus and a global network of KOLs in the SCI space. We're focused on translating knowledge into action for spinal cord injury innovations. This is advancing meaningful innovations, technologies, and care best practices into use, as we're driven by the mission of improving the quality of health and quality of life for people living with SCI. We consist of a group of highly motivated Plex people living with spinal cord injury, and that's complemented with our team of leading clinical, industry, and research experts to help move these innovations further along and into use. The areas that we really focus on are driven by the Plex community and Plex priorities. And these are primarily focused on the secondary health complications of a spinal cord injury. On average, an individual with an SCI is managing 15 of these secondary complications at any one time. And a lot of these complications are shared by other individuals with other chronic health conditions, as well as the aging population. These are osteoporosis, bouts of spasticity, pressure injuries, bladder and bowel dysfunction. These are the leading causes of death for individuals with a spinal cord injury, and are the primary areas for meaningful health impact. We're Praxis came about is a really in response to the challenges and engagement that had been identified by the Plex community. There's a real lack of trust between SCI community members and sharing the lack of distrust within what research was being done and what innovations were getting to market. You can always talk to a lot of individuals with spinal cord injury and they'll talk about the wall in which they have devices that they don't use. There's a lot of what we call wins in SCI, failure of high profile failures without clear tangible wins for people with chronic SCI. A lot of focus and momentum goes into something like a neural link, which we still hope does move forwards, and less on some of the more impactful things on pressure injuries that can save countless lives each year. There's also perceptions of what clunky engagement looks like. Early startups and early founders saying that it's difficult to engage with community members to help advance technologies. So 4 years ago, Praxis launched our SCI Innovate programs to really focus on helping innovators move forward with innovations and avoid the valleys of death. So we have a SCI Incubate program, 4-month program for products that are pre-prototype around TRL 3 to 5. An SCI Accelerate program, a 6-month program for early MVPs around TRL 5 to 8. And then a later stage where we're looking at open calls for supporting early adoption in clinical or even home use. Our really main focus is working directly with companies and putting them weekly with Plex members and clinical researchers to drive forward what your milestones are. Our programs aren't generic. Here's an information session and here's a mentor who knows something about business. It's what is your exact milestone that you're trying to do in the next 6 months? And we're going to find you, if it's a distributor specific to wheelchairs, we're going to find someone with that exact experience so they can share and impart their knowledge to help accelerate your timeline to market. So we also, as part of our program, have funding and we co-develop with you milestones to advance your product roadmap. In addition, we also run Plex and clinical focus groups so that you can have a really broader understanding of what potential there is for your product market fit, but also be able to really refine where your product market fit is. Our main secret sauce, as we like to call it, is integrating perspectives in your key decision making. So a company with an SCI related health technology, something that's going to improve accessibility, something that's going to reduce secondary health complication. Each week during the programs, you meet with, for an hour, a person with lived experience of SCI, an SCI clinician, a researcher, and a commercialization expert. And together, we integrate all of these perspectives in the decisions that are facing you that week. Or we usually give items that are to-dos that need to be completed before we meet again the following week. So then we can iterate solutions and iterate actions with regards to what your current milestones are. We're driven by what your product roadmap looks like. And we're there to ensure that we're providing the support for you. So that also means when an item comes up and we don't have the expertise, we tap into our large expanded network and give you a one-on-one mentorship directly with that. While we've had a lot of success and seen a lot of support, and where we can provide support is in clinical trial design, really working together on endpoints, recruitment, inclusion criteria. It has been in the past a consistent issue with being able to effectively recruit for trials. So bringing in these perspectives have helped with all of our graduates to have quite successful small and large scale trials. We're helping with the development and refinement of your product development roadmap. Some human factor testing, that's what I was speaking about before. We bring a group of clinicians in, and with the end user Plex testing, we run those focus groups ourselves. You give us the feedback of the inputs, we run them so that you have a really, so we're able to provide you with a summary that you can use in future investor pitches and future grant applications to really show that there is a product use fit for what you're developing. We'll also work and have had quite a bit of success with outreach messaging and strategies for engaging the SCI community. what we like to call the Praxis effect is since we launched the program in 2020, so we're just launching our fifth cohort of SCI Accelerate this year. We've supported 36 startups with 1.2 million in pilot funding, thanks to the federal government. And from that, in those 4 years, those 36 companies, 35 of which are actually still ongoing concerns, they've raised over 225 million in private capital, 30 million in primarily government dilutive grants for future R&D. 13 products from those 36 startups are on the market. 5 of them already have reimbursement confirmed with the health system. And that's powered by the over 1,000 hours of one-on-one coaching with people living with lived experience of SCI. When we talk about lived experience of SCI, it is living with SCI, but also those within the space. Lessons I can impart that we've learned from our platform is really drive the use of a simple integrated assessment and being able to capture the next steps or the primary needs for your product. We want to make sure that when we do a connection, it is with the right person at the right time, in the right place, or the right way. That way, something activates or catalyzes from it isn't just one other meeting. Really want to close the loop so that when you're leaving, you've got clear direction, you know where you're going. And what we found and what we really have a lot of faith in is that we build trust through honest cadence and sharing when we don't know things. And we really encourage and we really have a lot of support when companies have that cadence as well, when we're all open and honest in these conversations. So thank you. We open our programs annually, so we'll be having an opening for our SCI Incubate program in the next few months. But if you'd like to learn more, these are my contact details. Varun and Hannah have them as well. And enjoy the other pitches. Happy Halloween.
Great. Yeah, I'll pass along the applause to Andrew again. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us today in person, but I'll leave this up for a second. If anyone wants to capture the contact information, please feel free to reach out to him. So yeah, with that, just want to say thank you to all of the partners and organizations that came out today to showcase about their programs. I think what's really amazing to see is that there are so many resources and supports available to entrepreneurs, and sometimes it can get a bit confusing with all the different programs. So hopefully this helped shed some light there. I do want to give a little bit of a plug about ATS and ATS Labs as well. So I know Varun gave an overview at the beginning, but again, for those who don't know, Access to Success is Canada's leading accelerator for accessibility startups. We're currently in our 5th cohort, and we have 13 companies from around the world going through our program. And we've actually run a bit of, Stephen, our marketing person who's in the scissors there, ran some interviews with some of our companies, and we wanted to showcase that today and kind of introduce an exciting event that we have coming up later in the year.
The origin story for 109 is not the story of a startup. It's the story of a struggle.
The journey all started with my son. He was actually born without a few bones in his arms. His arms were just really tightly coiled, couldn't fit through traditional clothing, and wanted to take him outside so that he could be like every other kid, just play outside.
One of my 2 sons is on the autism spectrum. He's high functioning, and it became apparent that there's all these wonderful organizations to support the person with autism. There really wasn't any organization to support the family unit.
When I was in my undergrad, I was having a lot of public medical events. I was spending hours of my life in the emergency room. It was very difficult to actually get the paramedics the right information. And that sparked a lot of solution-oriented ideas for me.
I thought that there had to be a better way for children, to be able to enjoy being outside, and that's what inspired me to start making clothing, just to make the process a lot easier.
I'm Jen Schlegel. I'm the CEO founder of 119. It's a patented communication tool to help individuals with chronic illness, disability, and aging communicate to the surrounding environment what they'd like to have happen during a public medical event.
My name is Melissa, and I'm the founder of Baby Zebs. And we're transforming the dressing experience to make clothing more accessible for children.
I'm Becky Large, creator and CEO of the Autism Travel Club. We leverage technology to empower businesses and their employees to support autistic people and their families, enabling our families to explore and travel the world through autism-sensitive and supported experiences.
There was a moment in this journey that kind of changed everything, that made me start thinking that there might be a way to solve it. I went from having those 4 potential 911 calls a week to my last semester. I didn't have a single 911 call that I didn't ask for. And the one that I asked for, I got exactly what I asked for.
Let's break the mold, be more creative, and create a solution that works for everyone.
I wanted to leave you on an inspiring note, but as you can see, we have some amazing companies currently in our cohort, and you'll have the chance to hear from them directly at our demo day on December 5th. So we're holding that actually in Toronto at the DMZ, which is part of Toronto Metropolitan University. So if you're interested in attending, it will also be streamed online, so you can join us virtually or in person. So I'll leave that QR code up there. But we have, again, a lot of exciting entrepreneurs that will be pitching, a lot of which have started their companies either out of their own personal experience or the experience of their loved ones. So yeah, definitely come out to that if you are available.